Okay, Cindy, thank you so much. And thank you all who have joined us today for our last of the school year uh, transition sharing roundups. And today we wanted to cover a couple of things. We have some items that are coming up that we wanted to remind people of. One would be the annual Youth Leadership Forum, which is scheduled for June 6th through the 10th at Northern State and Aberdeen, and all of the transition staff, and I believe all of our delegates are excited to be able to participate this year. Last year we did have to call it off due to COVID, but with some safety things in place, we're able to do this in person this year, and excited to have that going. Let's see, the other thing that's coming up this summer, and we'd encourage any teachers or voc rehab counselors to consider attending our Transition Summer Institute, which will be, again, also in person. That will be in Pierre, South Dakota. And that is scheduled for July 12th and 13th. So right after the 4th of July, it's a Monday and Tuesday. And we have 2 full days of everything you need to know about transition to provide services. We have best practices, we have breakouts, so you can kind of pick and choose some of what would be most applicable to your situation. This is a super good opportunity to network, and something that we really encourage new teachers or administrators or VR counselors to consider attending. And it's also great for those more seasoned practitioners out there who may need a little bit of a refresher or maybe kind of a booster shot to get going again with transition. So again, keep these items in mind. On the TSLP website, we do have a pretty thorough list of things that are coming up, and also information from past events that we've held. And I always encourage you to look at that tslp.org as a way to keep transition resources fresh in your mind, and to be able to check back on things that have happened in the past. And today,
Dave, could I mention a couple of things?
Yes.
If you're aware of one of your students that maybe isn't able to attend YLF, have them contact us as soon as possible. That way we can, maybe get an alternate to come rather than 2-3 days before the camp starts. And also, by this summer in Pierre, when we're at Summer Institute, I will have learned to spell Summer Institute. I don't know if you've noticed, it is spelled wrong. Sorry about that. And also at our Summer Institute, our Monday evening together is going to be spent canvas painting with an artist, and maybe a little wine on the side if you would like. So that's all.
That's going to push my boundaries and my comfort limits, but I'm going to participate. Sounds great. Let's see, and with our formal program today, and looking through the list here, we have I think several young adults, and all of them are alumni of the Youth Leadership Forum. So that's fantastic. And all of these folks are out there and experiencing success, and testing their limits and keep moving those limits, which is great. Let's see, and I guess one of our first presenters, or our first presenter listed here, would be Kendra Gottsleben, and she'll tell you more about herself, but she's going to talk about making lemonade. Karen Johnson from Aberdeen is going to talk about adult agencies and the different agencies that she's worked with over the years that have helped her to get to where she's at now. Kristen Barnhart is from Sioux Falls. She's going to talk a little bit about her experience with post-secondary education and things she needed to do to be successful, share some tips there. And let's see, I guess we have David Colling from Howard, and He's going to talk about being involved and being an advocate and participating on boards and committees. We see David at a lot of conferences that we're involved with, and he participates in some of our activities to help us keep informed on what's happening out there. So again, it's great to have these individuals with us today to share some of their experiences. And then the last thing that we're going to do, this has been kind of a tough year for many teachers. We want to celebrate all of the things that you've been able to accomplish this year, acknowledge your hard work, and assist you in moving forward into next year any way that we can to help you continue providing quality transition services to your students and to your consumers.
Okay, so thanks, Dave. A lot of good information here. We are going to turn it right over to these young folks that he just mentioned, and we're going to start with Kendra. Kendra works at the Center for Disabilities, but I'm going to let her tell you what her title is. And we've known Kendra for several years. She is just one of the most talented people I know. She has written books. She's an author. She's won so many awards. I've lost track of them all, except for the latest one I can tell you that I'm aware of anyway. Kendra, you've maybe won some since then, but I know that she won the Governor's Award for Outstanding Individual with a Disability in 2020. So that is just one of many. But Kendra, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me share my screen. And okay. So I'm honored to be here. It's fun. It's always good to be back with these lovely people. It's always been an honor. I feel like YLF definitely gave me the boost of sharing my story, and I've just been grown from there. So I was born in 1984, November 3rd, and I was born with long-term mucopolysaccharidosis type 6. And then I always had expialidocious, if you remember the movie. Why am I blanking? Mary Poppins. As I grew up, my parents taught me to never let myself give into the world and always try to look at the world positively. My family always recognized my strengths, and we didn't focus on what I couldn't do. We always focused on my abilities. As educators, and I had a lot of people that did focus on what I could do. I was mainstream, so I wasn't on an IEP. For the most part, educators saw what I could do, but there were definitely times that they judged me before they really got to know me. And so the quote here in this image is what I really feel like sometimes in situations has been: the wheelchair should not be the symbol of disability. A wheelchair is a vehicle to liberation and freedom, a chariot of independence. And that's been a very key thing for me. When I didn't get my wheelchair till I was a freshman in high school. And that was kind of because we were kind of nervous about, if I get a wheelchair, does that mean I'm telling the world and telling myself I'm never going to walk again? But I do walk, I just can't walk long distances. So, but I always say that sometimes people looked at my not ability before they saw me. And that's kind of what some of those things have happened. Like here, for example, in high school, I wanted to take American Heritage and Algebra 2, but only students that were planning on going to college is what I was told. And that's where I believe my disability was seen first. But despite that, I got through it. The classes, you had to have a certain GPA, you had to have a teacher say that you could take the class. you had to have all these qualifications, and I had that. So this was just a person, a counselor that looked at my ability and didn't look at any of my paperwork. And so despite that, I graduated from high school with a 3.6 GPA and a member of the National Honor Society. During college, I did run into some professors that again looked at my disability before, getting to know me. Some of them was I assumed other students were telling the truth and that I was not. I was told I was not cut out for grad school. I was accused of cheating on a test, but I've always wondered, did my size and wheelchair create doubt in my ability? But despite those professors, I graduated from Augustana College back then, now it's university, with a double major in psychology and sociology. For me, I believe we're the ones that determine the attitudes and the approaches we take in life. I always take the positive one. Despite, with NPS, I've learned to overcome a lot of the obstacles. And I do really believe that those obstacles have made me a better person. And they've taught me how to succeed because I've had to learn to work through them and be creative in how reaching my goals. And the reality, in my opinion, is there's nobody in this earth, in this world, that doesn't have some type of obstacle they have to overcome. It's just part of life. And we just have to find a way to move forward and work through it and find support that can help us achieve that. So with that in mind, I say, do things that you are most passionate about in life. So my life passions have been being an advocate, which I learned a lot about at YLF. I'm on a lot of committees. I've been in documentaries. I've been a mentor at YLF. And for me, I feel very fulfilled helping others and then younger adults to learn about how to, as long as they own their disability and they become aware of their weaknesses and their strengths at a young age, the farther they're going to be and the better they're going to be able to be successful at what they want to do. I'm an author. I've written 3 books. I like, hence the lemonade. Themes are in the titles of my book. And for me, writing has been an outlet for sharing my perspective in how to overcome those challenges and make lemonade. I've been fortunate to be part of the adaptive clothing world. I love fashion. Grew up with a disability, and a lot of my clothes, because of my disability, was I couldn't always wear the things that everybody else was wearing. So one of my dreams and one of the things that I never ever thought I would be able to do was I walked in the first fashion show for Runway of Dreams in 2016, and I wore Tommy Hilfiger adaptive wear. And for me, I always say, especially with working with students and keeping the mind and helping them realize that you may think you are, like when you plan or dream of like when you're saying this is what I want to do, sometimes it doesn't always go that way. But if you tweak it a little bit, you might not have done the original plan, but you're still accomplishing it. It just might have looked a little different, and that's okay. You're still accomplishing the goal. It's just been tweaked a little. I've worked at the Center for Disabilities in Sioux Falls here, been here for 10 years. What I feel most fortunate about is it's working in the 2 worlds I grew up in. The education world, which my parents were both educators, and then I grew up in the medical world, So I get to work with medical students about disability etiquette, healthcare transition, and just helping them understand, because my disability is also a very rare disease, there's only about 100 of us in the United States. I'm also able to help them understand what it's like to be a rare person. I've done public speaking, and that's always been fun. But the advice that I have is for the whole world, everybody, is that see people first, even if someone has a disability or not, doesn't matter. And we all have different abilities, no matter what we look like or what we have to deal with. We all have something to overcome. Having a disability doesn't mean goals aren't achievable. At times, they just have to be tweaked to achieve, but they are possible. And always remember to take time in answering questions and to listen and see what they're really saying. And the biggest one is, as a person with a disability, helping the students know to be proud of who they are with their disability, and how knowing yourself is what is going to make things so successful. Because if you go into a job, if you're going into a school situation, if you get into a situation that you know there might be a weakness in this avenue, then you're advocating and saying how I can do this, but I need a little assistance in this. So that comes to my lemonade. I always look at the obstacles in life that we have as lemons, and I turn those lemons / obstacles into the best lemonade possible. And then there you go. That is me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Kendra. Awesome. I don't know how you fit all that in such a short presentation, but you did.
I was like 10 minutes. Okay, we're gonna get it in.
You did a great job. Thank you. I had written in the chat while you were talking, Kendra, about that you've accomplished so many things already in your short life. And was thinking as you were talking, wouldn't it be cool as a teacher to invite you to maybe be a guest speaker in a classroom sometime, which would be very easy to do right now via Zoom, I would think. I mean, right short of
Yeah, this past weekend, I joined a sib shop in Michigan, and I read one of my books, kids' books, and I talked to them about disability and everything. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And I did talk to a 4th grade class in Vermillion. And so, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
If we were
okay.
together, we would serve lemonade.
That's right. Cool. Thank you very much, Kendra. If any of you have questions for Kendra or comments, you can feel free to use the chat box as well. But I know we have some other young folks on, so we want to give them a chance as well. Karen, we'd like Karen to talk next. Karen Johnson lives in Aberdeen, and I'll let her tell you what she's up to these days. But we've asked Karen to talk to you about the various services or agencies that she's been connected through or connected to throughout her high school or transition years, which I think Karen would agree that has helped her get to, where she is today and all the things that she has been able to do as well. So Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I am Karen Johnson. Yeah, I don't really know what you want me to say, so let me find what Cindy and I popped up. So I worked through voc rehab. We had someone from South Dakota, parent navigator, project skills through voc rehab, the SAFE program in Iowa Lakes Community College in Emmitsburg, Iowa. It's like the program that's now at, what's it called, Cindy? That's now at, I guess
Augie,
NSU.
maybe? Are you talking about Augie Access, Karen?
No, there's something at NSU. It used to be at PC.
Oh, TLC program, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a program for students who are between 18 and 21 and still qualify for special ed services through the school district. But yeah, Karen went to, this program is actually in Emmitsburg, Iowa, like she said.
Correct.
Okay.
Project Search. Aberdeen Housing.
Because where are you living, Karen?
I live at the Sherman Apartments.
So you have your own apartment?
Yep.
Okay.
Independent living choices. Department of Labor through energy assistance and food stamps.
Karen, I'm gonna back you up to independent living choices.
Yeah, what's up?
What's something that they have helped you with? Or what did they do with you?
They helped me kind of try to do stuff with finances and get kind of schedule for cleaning my apartment and stuff like that.
Okay, so are they still currently working with you?
Nope, I haven't worked with them in years.
Okay, so that happened when you first moved into your own place?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, very good. Carry on.
The disability rights via partners in policy making. They also helped just get all my IEP stuff straightened up and whatnot because my school is not cooperative. And with Dave and Cindy and them, the TSLP for Catch the Wave and YLF, and the Dare to Dream conferences they used to have.
Yeah, I think that's where I first met you, Karen.
I don't know.
Many years ago. Okay. Did you have anything else written down there or on your screen?
Not that I can think of.
I think
Okay.
she should explain partners in policy making.
Partners in policy making is a advocating class that takes place throughout 6 months, one class a month. It's for self-advocates and their parents and people that work with them. And they just learn all sorts of advocating stuff through it. You also took it, David. Can you think of anything to add? You must not.
So this is a program that Disability Rights South Dakota puts on every year.
Yep.
You have to fill out an application to participate in it. And yes, I have always wanted to like sneak in and hear some of the information because I hear it's wonderful information and speakers that they have come in and talk. And I believe they've been doing this for, oh my goodness, several years now. I don't know, Cindy, if Dave, if you know how long.
Year 30, if I'm correct.
Okay. So it's just a great opportunity for family members. Like you said, sometimes it's a young adult and a parent are taking it at the same time or separately. But lots of good information shared, right?
Yes.
We
So-
met Karen when she was very young, Transition Project did, prior even to that transition age, because she and her dad would come to conferences and Karen was young, really got an early start on that. But from first meeting Karen, and I'm sure her mom would say this too, until now her living on her own and she had a job at Abira, now kind of on hold while during COVID because of her breathing problems. Would have never imagined her being where she's at. But man,
No.
when you hear of all those different agencies and programs and supports that they've accessed, can you say,
You've had-
Karen, that that's probably really helped you a lot?
Yes.
I think, yeah, you have had some great opportunities and been able to, you know, to take advantage of the programs and services that are out there. And that's exactly what they're for, is for you to use those services. And I would have to agree with Cindy from the time, you know, a long time ago when we met you, being this quiet, shy young lady who we could hardly get to even speak to us, to now living on your own, just doing your thing is just so awesome to see. And
Yeah.
so for teachers, that's why we want to bring, you know, people like you, Karen, and everybody else that we have on here to see the fruits of your labors, teachers, that what you do really does pay off, for young
I was
adults.
just gonna add that so the Center for Disabilities does a yearly magazine called South Dakota Possibilities, and we featured Karen and her.
Oh, yeah,
story
yeah.
because she's been such an amazing person and done so many awesome things. So
Yes.
Karen, I had just a quick question for you. Are there people who have pushed you out of your comfort zone to help you get to where you are now?
My parents, specifically my mom.
Mhm. I kind of think, Karen, almost everybody pushed you out of your comfort zone at first, right? Because
Yeah.
you were so quiet and shy that, I mean, coming to YLF for the first time pushed you way out of your comfort zone, didn't it?
It sure did.
I mean, way out. But look at what's happened to you since then, and hopefully partly because of that experience, that you made it. You didn't even want to stay there. You wanted to go home with your mom and dad that first time, right?
Yep. Yep.
But you made it through. It was tough being away from your parents for that long, but you made it. And not only did you make it once, you've been coming back to YLF and helping us out for several years since then. So
Yep. Something else that also helped was our therapeutic horseback riding place called Spurs
another thing. See, we
and
forgot to
Special
mention
Olympics.
that. And Special Olympics. Okay, what do you do with Special Olympics?
Horseback riding and bowling.
Great. Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to ask Karen? I guess I haven't had a chance to look at the chat.
Yeah, Laura Stoltenberg, who's the district supervisor in the Aberdeen area, put a nice message in there for Karen. I too had the pleasure of working with Karen through VR, and she transitioned into a self-advocate and did amazing things in her time as a transition-aged young adult, and now she's also served as a mentor and advisor to many students in sharing her experiences of the various programs over the years. Karen, you're the best. And then the next message, she said, sorry about misspelling your name.
Used to it.
Yep. And Karen has spoken for you, Cindy, many times, right? In smaller groups or things that you've
Yep.
held up in your area for teachers.
Yeah, she did a
And-
PowerPoint on her transition journey, and we couldn't
Yeah.
find that because she's aging like some of the rest of us,
Yep.
but it's story to tell.
Anyway, another huge success story, and we love her to death, in case you can't tell that by now. Okay, we're going to move on. Thank you, Karen, very much.
Welcome.
We're going to move on to Kristen, I think is the next person on our list. And Kristen is a recent college graduate, and I will let her tell you what her degree is in and where she went to school. And she's going to talk a little bit about just that experience of being a young adult with a disability going on to college, needing to advocate for herself. So Kristen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, I'm Kristen Barnhart. I graduated in 2019 from Southwest Minnesota State. and I will tell you my major in just a second because it's actually kind of a neat story. So when I first graduated high school, so I use a wheelchair. I have cerebral palsy, but I also have borderline personality disorder, which for those of you who don't know, results in some intense emotions and impulsive decision making. And I only share that because I had my whole life planned out. I was going to go to DSU to do animation, and then like 2 weeks, maybe a month before I graduated high school, I was like, forget it, I'm going to STI and I'm just going to get a 2-year degree and blah, blah, blah. STI did not work out. I went to STI and it was not equipped for people with mobility disorders. And every time I would ask for something, they'd say they were working on it. And if you know anything about advocacy, we're working on it means it's never going to happen. So you have to keep on them. And I was doing it all by myself. I didn't have any PCA care because I was an independent 18-year-old and out on my own for the first time. And I talked to many 18-year-olds who have the same story as me. They graduate high school and they get rid of all the services they had because they're like, I'm an adult, I don't need it anymore. Well, that's not true. You just need different services. And when I went to STI, I finally had enough. I was very depressed, wasn't getting help, went to the disability coordinator, and the disability coordinator, the first time he met me, asked me if I was drunk. It was a very hurtful experience because I have spastic CP. Sometimes I slur my words or have jitters due to the motor skills. And again, I was 18, had no services, didn't have a good relationship with my family really at that point. Like my mom was my biggest support, but because I was so fiercely independent, I didn't see that. But I knew something had to change. And so that semester, I dropped out of STI because I was failing all my classes anyway. And I was like, I'm going to transfer to Southwest Minnesota State University, which those of you who don't know is, I believe now it might be number 5 in the most accessible campus in the country. And that's mobility. Accessibility, it doesn't have deaf spaces or I don't know about the visual impairment stuff, but for mobility, I know that. And then, and by the time I got to SMSU, I had changed my major 3 times. And I went in to be a teacher. And I was like, I'm going to change the world through teaching because teachers had always changed my world. Teachers had always believed in me. And even when I wasn't getting along with my family because of my mental illness, I got along with my teachers and they helped me through some really tough times. So I was going to be a teacher. But then my freshman and sophomore year, I got very, very sick. I had an emergency surgery and I bet every teacher and educator on this platform can attest to how rigorous the education programs are. And I had to start the semester late and there was just gonna be no catching up. And I didn't know what to do. And I was completely distraught. So I was in speech at this point, forensic speech, competitive speech for, and I went and talked to my speech coach and he said, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, well, I want to do this. I want to advocate for those with disabilities. And I had this whole list of things I wanted to do. And I was like, and this is how I'm going to do it. And my professor said, okay, we're going to make you your own major. And so they made me my own major, which is not something I thought was possible. But he said for determined individuals who know what they want to do, they would set it up. And my major is disability advocacy in new media. I believe that advocacy, well, it can be done behind a desk, and I have done plenty of that and plenty of legislation stuff. A lot of it is through Facebook and YouTube, and when people see the arts, that's what really gets to the core of things. And so once I got my major, I was like, okay, finally on some steady ground. And that was really, like, yesterday was the anniversary of my major getting approved. But that also allowed me to see that I can't do it alone. So in college, I was very involved with our disability center. Luckily, the people in our disability center at SMSU were very, very understanding and almost blunt, to the point, like, if you needed it done, they would get it done. They weren't like messing around. And while on campus, I participated in pretty much, I have 6 different clubs. I can't name them all right now. And I think the biggest thing for me was going to a small campus that had good services, like the disability services, but also going to a small campus, the professors knew me. They knew what I could do and what I couldn't do. So they were able to, of course, you always run into a few professors that aren't very understanding, but I had so many professors be understanding. I graduated with theater honors, which is something that I'm very proud of, because I've been involved with theater my entire life. And when I got to school, I was like, can I even do theater, like in a wheelchair? I had done it all my life, but didn't know how college was going to work, didn't know if the stage was going to be accessible. And the stage wasn't very accessible, but I had professors, you know, in my corner. And so I'm going to say to the educators on this chat right now, the biggest thing that your students need is somebody in their corner. They might not, my mom has been teaching me since I was 4 years old that I need to go and tell people what I need. Some of your students might not have that. That's why I got a degree, is so that when I meet somebody who doesn't have the same, I'm very obnoxious. Maybe not obnoxious, but passionate, and I will demand things for myself and for others. Other people aren't like that. My best friend in the whole wide world, Leah Bernard, when we were in school, she was very quiet. And so sometimes people just need a loud person and someone in their corner. And so, and you also, so yeah, I don't know what else.
Well, that is a great story, Kristen. I mean, you have had a lot of different things happen in your life, and you've had a lot of challenges. And the most important thing is you fought through them, and you always get your way back up to the top. And here you are now, ready to conquer the next thing, right?
Yes.
Definitely. Does anybody have any questions for Kristen? Again, we admire all of these guys because they really truly have accomplished a lot. You know, Kristen just has the added challenges of personal care attendant services and such. So that just is another added component that she needs to deal with pretty much constantly, whether she's at school or work or at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the last but not least young man that we have asked to come and talk is David. And like Cindy mentioned, or I think Dave mentioned, David has been involved in just lots of things, and it's always impressed us with the different boards and such that he's been on. So David, will you share some of the different things that you've participated on with everyone?
Okay, first of all, after my senior year, I attended the Youth Leadership Forum. Then, after that, I have attended Project Search, and I've also attended Independent Living Choices in Sioux Falls and Madison. I also went to a transition program in Madison, which happens to be in an agency called at the time ECHO, which is a community support provider. Then I also have been to Catch the Wave and Dare to Dream. Then I have attended, well, actually first before I started going to the partners classes, I've actually attended the partners continuing education sessions with my mother, since that she's a past graduate and they always have family members along. And then so I decided to attend partners myself. So I attended partners in policymaking and did all the classes and graduated. Then I joined the DD Council. Then I have attended conferences like Dare to Dream and the Symposium and the Advocacy Jam. And then I am currently in South Dakota Advocates for Change. And I'm also involved in Special Olympics. I have made some fundraising. They have done some fundraising events like the Polar Plunge and Strikes for Special Olympics. So I usually participate in track and field and bowling. So back in the fall of 2011, I spoke in a conference called My Transition Journey. I'm at the Ramquota, so I discussed my advocacy journey. And I also have attended People First of Southeastern South Dakota. And I also attended another conference called Handicap This, which was in Vermillion at SDSU. And then currently this year, I was asked to I was interviewed by a person about my advocacy journey about strikes for Special Olympics, and so that was in the newspaper, in the Madison Daily Leader.
Wow.
Yep.
Do you have more? I don't want to interrupt, David. Do you have more?
I think that's probably about it that I could think of. That
Okay. Holy cow, that's a lot. That was a
Yep.
lot. I'm going to go back to, you had mentioned Advocates for Change. Can you tell us what that is a little bit?
Okay, Advocates for Change is the program where it includes a group of self-advocates from throughout the state. They meet every month and they have discussions about like how they're gonna plan their presentations. And they present into different conferences every year.
Okay.
And lately,
How did you find out about that or get to
um,
know about that?
well, I have attended partners conferences and I have attended the Advocacy Jam and Dare to Dream before I found out about Advocates for Change.
Okay. And I believe you mentioned DD Council. Is that a board?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's where we discuss different like different budgets and have discussions about the grant applications and different disability programs like the Youth Leadership Forum and partners. And in fact, since I was a part of the DD Council, I got to be invited to the wildlife luncheon a couple times.
David,
Oh,
Oh.
sorry. I was gonna just say, what's the best part about being on these boards and committees for you? What do you most enjoy about that?
Well, I enjoy being a part of it and enjoying learning about I like learning how to advocate and And also, in interacting with the people.
David, just a quick question and let's see, and I'm trying to remember, you don't drive, do you?
No,
Okay, so if somebody wants to be on a board, is there transportation that's provided? How does that work?
yeah, well, usually, my mom, takes me, places like if it was somebody that doesn't, drive, like probably like either a staff or a parent, like would give them a ride, I think.
Okay, so the transportation's provided or they'll
Yeah,
help pay for that. Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And currently I'll be I was thinking of so once the pandemic is over with, I was thinking of going back to my apartment in Howard or having a different apartment in Howard. So
So prior to the pandemic, you were in your own place, in your own apartment, and were you working somewhere?
yeah, I was working at Good Sam, so I had to not work there either. So I'll be working there also as well when the pandemic is over with. And
Which will hopefully be soon that we can, well, I won't say over with, but hopefully it seems like at least we're heading in the right direction of getting things a little bit back to normal status. Okay. Again, we've been just so impressed with all of these folks that we've had on and just all the things that they've done. They've had opportunities and they have taken them and grabbed them and run with them. And I think, would you guys agree that kind of one thing leads to another? I mean, you get involved with one thing, you get to meet some people. You might have a person there that you met that comes up and talks to you and says, hey, have you ever considered this? And then you look into that and you check that out and you meet a whole new group of people and just more opportunities keep happening. I see Kristen and Kendra shaking their head yes anyway. That's all that I have on my screen. But I think as happens to most of us, I mean, I could say the same thing about my whole career, honestly. You get your foot in the door somewhere and you meet people and things just keep happening because of that. So it's just so critical to encourage students and try to get them involved in as many things as possible, or certainly the things that they're interested in. So, okay, thank you guys all so much. Cindy, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And Cindy, I believe you're muted if you're talking.
I am. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I think you have many teachers to thank for what they've done to help you get where you're at, but also VR counselors. They play a big role too, and we have a lot of them on our call today too. So thanks to all of you for what all you do. But in the chat room, I have put a link to the Jamboard. And so I want to have you guys try this out. So if you can click on that link, a picture such as on my screen should show up. And what I want you to do when you download it is pick a sticky note along the left, and you can pick whatever color you want. And then I want you to answer the question, what are your summer plans, or are you taking a vacation?
Cindy, I need some extra help. Where do I click?
In the chat room, or do you have this screen up, Dave?
I do.
Along the left-hand side, about four down is the sticky notes. And type in your answer and hit save. Has anybody typed and hit save yet? What are your summer plans? pick a sticky note and type in there.
There's some people adding, Cindy, this is Laura, but it's not showing up like in real time on your screen for some reason. So
Oh, really?
I'm seeing other people
Okay.
add to the one I'm
Oh,
in.
okay. Hold on just a minute then. Maybe I need to.
It
Oh,
looks
there-
like there's 3 pages, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't, no, second time I've done this, but, okay. So Wildlife Spurs going, oh, really? Lucky Kaboo. Kaboo. North Carolina going to many baseball games. Oh, I wonder, yeah. Be outside enjoying the beautiful weather. No vacation, enjoying the weather, the nice weather though. How about? Oh. I'm sorry, guys. This is not. Well, my Jamboard isn't working, darn. Another couple of other questions I had was, think of a student this year that you've worked with as a VR, consumer or a student teacher or teachers of a student that you've worked with. And can you just speak about it and tell us one positive thing, how they've shown growth? Anybody want to share that? Anybody have a student that's shown considerable growth despite all the year that we've gone through? Okay, let's go to the next question then. What's one positive thing that you think came out of this year of COVID? You guys have had a rough year. Social distancing, making the kids keep their masks on, coming up with all the distance learning. Oh, Cindy said she has a student that worked the whole time of COVID and now will be a summer work experience. So great. Thank you for offering that, Cindy. Anybody else have anything to add?
I would just add, as a supervisor, I've seen very resilient students, but also very resilient teachers and VR counselors or VR staff in just trying another way, the whole, try another way, figure it out, get creative. So I think we've learned a lot and grown a lot and get to move forward with some new ways of doing things. So kind of the celebration of that.
Yeah. Just like when Jamboard doesn't work, figure it out another way. To
Yep,
do
keep
it.
moving along. Good job for trying, Cindy. That's awesome.
No, I tried it on the youth the other night and it worked fine, but of course with the teachers, but no. So one more thing I'd like to share with you before you go. Just a little.
Dear teachers, you are changing the world even when you can't see it. So thank you.
Hold on a minute. I am having such a hard time today.
I really needed to change the stories I was telling myself. Things just started happening. Falling into place almost magically. It was just amazing. Like business just dropped in my lap. A lot of business. Give it a try. It will absolutely change your life.
One more try, guys. Sorry about that.
What would life be like without teachers?
Here we go.
Dear teachers, last spring you made the shift from face-to-face teaching to pandemic pedagogy. In a matter of days, you found innovative.
Cindy, we're not seeing your video now.
Oh,
We're hearing it a little bit, but it's pretty faint.
Lessons with limited time and limited resources, and there was no roadmap or blueprint. Now it wasn't perfect. There were some mistakes along the way, but you
well, you know what? Let's just say it's been nice to meet you guys. Oh, Lordy. So
I admire your willingness to try all these things, Cindy.
I know, but I tried it. They work. Okay. Before we go, we have a new person that's attending our roundup for the first time. Let me get Kellen. Is that your first name?
Keelan.
What is it?
Thanks, Dave. It's Keelan.
Keelan?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. I've been completely silent this whole time because I didn't know if anybody could hear me or not. But yes, my name is Keelan. I work with, I'm an administrative assistant with Western Resources for Independent Living in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I've worked closely with Dave through the years and talked to him on a number of different things through the school district. And so I just wanted to join in today and just kind of listen and see what all this was about, and just share a little bit about Western Resources, I guess. And just, I work with Western Resources. If nobody ever has really heard of that before, or if anybody is familiar.
And Keelan, I was going to tell you, we did have Jen on last.
Yeah, I know you did have Jen on last time, and I wanted to attend that one, but unfortunately I couldn't.
Sure. So
So
you work with Jen with Western Resources.
yes, Jen's our executive director, and then I'm one of the admin, yes. So I assist with the phone calls and take the referrals and all that sort of thing.
Cool.
So
Rumor has it that Keelan will be featured in the next transition newsletter that's coming out. So,
oh, good.
So
oh,
if
very
you
good.
want to hear more about Keelan,
we'll be
on the
watching.
lookout.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, and I've really enjoyed being a part of this today. Some very inspirational stuff. So yes, it's been fun for me, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Trish also mentioned thanks for all the work that people have done to put these roundups together. She feels they've been really great. This is the last one we'll have this school year, but looking at next September start up again, but if you have any suggestions on topics, or maybe there's a better day of the week or a better time, please email them to one of us so we can, at the start of these, we had 60, 70, 80, educators that were on, and granted, life's gotten busier, but if there's a more appropriate time that would benefit more people, we'd love to change it up to make it work. But man, big thanks to Kendra, Karen, Kristen, and David for sharing your stories and showing what all those things that you had happen in your life have made for pretty good life for all of you. So I'm sorry about the mishaps with the technology here at the end. But if there's nothing else, I think we're done. And thanks a lot for attending, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
a special shout out to Cindy, who really has been instrumental in putting all these together. She can just put put something together for Roundup in like 5 minutes. She's got it all figured out. So
Then they don't-
we certainly appreciate that.
It's easy. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, everyone. Have a great summer.